Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. Some breaking news just before we went on the air. President Biden gave a very, very brief press conference. I don't think he took any questions at all. One of the things that struck me, I'm just reading some of the highlights. I'm just reporting here. I don't know any depth. He said there's more than 150,000 Russian troops along the Ukraine border, which suggests there was no pullback, as was rumored or discussed today, or Vladimir Putin said that. Biden did threaten to pull the pipeline. The sanctions on the pipeline would be restored. He did not mention the banking system, which I think is the most powerful. Banking sanctions, take out the Russian central bank, take out the Russian principal commercial bank, and also take out the Russian oligarchs who not only own the banks, they're the richest people and the biggest lenders. He did not mention that stuff. He said if Russia invades Ukraine, there will be human costs for Ukraine. Well, yeah, obviously, strategic costs for Russia. There'll be human costs for the Russian troops. And finally, he said to the citizens of Russia, you are not our enemy, and I do not believe you want a bloody, destructive war. Well, I sure agree with that. Ronald Reagan used to say that all the time 40 years ago during the Cold War. In communist Russia, he used to appeal to the people and say, you're not the problem, it's your government. That's the problem. Anyway, if we get more on Biden or the Ukraine, we will report to you. Now, separate topic, inflation. Inflation blew in very hot today with a producer price number that was twice as high as consensus and rose 1 percentage point in January, totaling 9.7% for the past year. Call it 10. It's a very bad number. And with all the excess money floating around the financial system and the economy, you know, wholesale price increases are now leading to consumer price increases. In this high inflation environment, corporate pricing power is very strong. Some of the ugly details inside this alarming report: food prices up 12.8%, energy 28.8%, construction 16.1%, and even service prices up 7.7%. In other words, broad-based price gains. Something's got to be done about this. Got to be done. Now, as I mentioned last night, from former Senator Phil Gramm's memo, spending must be paused, welfare must be reformed, and I'm adding, money supply growth must be reduced. As I said last evening, Nancy Pelosi didn't get the Graham memo, but I hope somebody in Washington is thinking about this. So what a pleasant surprise to see Senator Pat Toomey, who, by the way, is our lead guest. He has managed to convince 11 other Republicans on the banking committee to boycott a vote on Joe Biden's Fed nominees. Wow, bravo, Mr. Toomey, a true free market conservative and a backbone of steel. At stake here are a bunch of ethics allegations that are aimed at Sarah Bloom Raskin. She was nominated to be the Fed vice chair of supervision, and she may have used her insider status as a former Treasury and Fed official to get her fintech company a coveted master account with the Fed. No other fintech company before or since has gotten that privilege. Consequently, the charge of unethical influence peddling after leaving the Treasury in the Obama administration, that charge is in the air. And the Kansas City Fed finally acknowledged that Raskin called them for this special privilege for the fintech bank on whose board she sat. Now, we will talk directly with Mr. Toomey about this in just a moment, but I want to add, it's not only unethical influence peddling that's got to be investigated. It's also the core beliefs of the Biden nominees. Now, look, this is a pivotal historical juncture for the central bank that has an unbelievably hard inflation-fighting task in front of them. They brought it on ourselves, but now they got to deal with it. Now, look, every president deserves their conservative or liberal nominations. Don't get me wrong. Elections have consequences. But they don't deserve far out of the mainstream radicals. On the Fed, for example, longtime board member Lael Brainerd is a liberal, and she has a lot of experience. So I believe her nomination as vice chair is justified. I may be wrong, but I don't think she's a far-out radical. However, Ms. Raskin is a far-out radical Green New Deal climate fanatic who has numerous times publicly stated that the Fed should allocate bank credit away from fossil fuel companies. It's radical because the Fed's not in the credit allocation business. And it's radical that if the fossil fuel companies went bankrupt and stopped production, the shortage of oil and natural gas would blow inflation sky higher, much worse than today. So Raskin's climate views, I think, are completely at odds with the Fed's mission for price stability. And once the Fed has to take away the punch bowl, sky-high inflation will lead to a deep recession and high unemployment that will damage minorities. They'll be the hardest hit. Now, the other radical nomination is Ms. Lisa Cook from Michigan State. She has called for assistance to looters and rioters. She believes that America is a racist country. She argues for slavery reparations. Though she has an economics PhD, she has never written on anything to do with monetary policy or the Fed or inflation or macroeconomics. Her most cited paper is about providing credit to small businesses in Russia. These are radical views. She is completely unqualified. I'll tell you right now, we need folks who will defend the value of the dollar, sharply cut back on the nation's money supply, and advocate for a spending pause in Congress, and in general support a hawkish view on curbing inflation. Like, for example, James Bullard of the St. Louis Fed, who really is the only guy out there who seems to have this story right, except for our steely, backboned friend, Senator Pat Toomey.